Hey! Welcome back to English Frenzy, the show where we make English feel less like a puzzle and more like a superpower. I'm your host, Pam, and if you're new here, welcome to the family. This is the place where we break down real, everyday English so you can use it with confidence wherever life takes you. Now, today's episode, I am excited about this one. We are diving into the world of corporate English, specifically the phrases and expressions you'll hear constantly in business meetings. And trust me, whether you work in an office, you're in online meetings, or you're just trying to understand what your colleagues are actually saying, this episode is for you. Because here's the thing, corporate English can sound like its own language. People throw around terms like, let's circle back, or we need to move the needle. And if you're not familiar with them, you might be sitting in a meeting nodding your head while having absolutely no idea what's going on. We've all been there. No shame. By the end of today's episode, you'll have a toolkit of powerful phrases. You'll know what they mean, when to use them, and how to drop them naturally into conversation like a total professional. Let's get into it. All right, phrase number 1. And this is probably the most classic corporate expression of all time. Let's take this offline. Now, when you hear offline, you might think, wait, are we disconnecting from the internet? No. In a meeting context, taking something offline means, let's stop discussing this right now in front of the whole group and continue this conversation later, just between a smaller group of people or one-on-one. Why would you use it? Because sometimes a topic comes up in a meeting that is either too detailed, too complicated, or only relevant to 2 or 3 people in the room. Rather than wasting everyone's time, you redirect. Imagine you're in a team meeting and someone starts going deep into a technical issue that only concerns the IT department. You can say, this is really important, but it might be more efficient if we take this offline. Can the IT team connect after this call to work through the details? Smooth, professional, and you just saved the whole meeting from derailing. You're welcome. Phrase number 2, circle back. This one you will hear constantly. Circling back simply means to return to a topic or follow up on something later. It's used when you can't fully address something right now. Maybe you don't have the information you need or time is running out. So you commit to coming back to it. Say you're in a meeting and someone asks you a question you're not prepared to answer yet. Instead of fumbling or making something up, you say, great question. I don't have those numbers in front of me right now, but let me circle back with you by end of day. And then, and this is the important part, you actually do circle back. Because saying it and not following up, that's a fast way to lose trust at work. Say it, mean it, do it. Okay, phrase number 3, move the needle. I love this one because it sounds so dramatic. Move the needle. What needle? Where are we going? The needle here is a metaphor. Think of an old-fashioned gauge or dial that measures progress. To move the needle means to make a meaningful, noticeable impact. To actually create a significant change or improvement, not just tiny, minor adjustments. You might hear a manager say, we've been running the same campaigns for 6 months and our numbers aren't growing. We need fresh ideas that will actually move the needle. Or you could use it to pitch an idea. I think if we focus our energy on social media outreach this quarter, it could really move the needle on brand awareness. It's a phrase that signals you're thinking big. You're not interested in small tweaks, you want real results. And in the corporate world, that kind of language gets people's attention. Phrase number 4, and this is a good one, low-hanging fruit. Picture a fruit tree. The fruit at the top requires effort, a ladder, maybe some risk, but the fruit at the bottom, easy to reach. No ladder needed. In business, low-hanging fruit refers to the easiest opportunities or tasks, the ones that can be achieved quickly with minimal effort and that can produce fast results. It's not a negative thing, it's actually strategic. Sometimes you go for the quick wins first to build momentum. Before we tackle the bigger projects, let's identify the low-hanging fruit. What can we accomplish in the next 2 weeks that will show immediate results for the client? Or, the low-hanging fruit here is our email list. We already have 10,000 subscribers we're not really engaging. That's a quick win waiting to happen. Quick, strategic, practical. That's low-hanging fruit. Phrase number 5, I don't have the bandwidth for that right now. Now, bandwidth in tech means the capacity of a network to transfer data. But in corporate English, it's been completely borrowed to describe a person's capacity, how much time and energy they have available. When you say you don't have the bandwidth, you're saying, I am at full capacity. I am stretched thin. I cannot take on more work without something suffering. I'd love to help with the report, but honestly, with the product launch this week, I just don't have the bandwidth. Can we revisit this next week? This phrase is incredibly useful because it's professional and non-confrontational. You're not saying, I don't want to. You're saying, I can't give this the attention it deserves right now. Big difference. It sets boundaries while sounding completely polished. Phrase number 6, let's align on this. To align means to bring things into agreement, to make sure everyone is on the same page and moving in the same direction. When someone says, let's align on this, they want to ensure there's shared understanding and agreement before moving forward. Before we go into the client presentation, let's align on our messaging. We need to make sure we're all communicating the same key points. Or even shorter, can we align on the timeline before the end of this meeting? It's a phrase that promotes teamwork and prevents miscommunication. And honestly, miscommunication is one of the biggest productivity killers in any company. So when you use this phrase, you're signaling that you value clarity. That's leadership energy right there. Phrase number 7, action items. This is one you will hear at the end of almost every structured meeting, and it's beautifully simple. Action items are the specific tasks or to-dos that come out of a meeting. They're the what happens next, who does what, and by when. Good meetings don't just end with conversation, they end with clarity. Action items create accountability. Okay, everyone, before we wrap up, let's go over our action items. Sarah, you're following up with the vendor by Thursday. Marcus, you're sending the revised proposal to the client by Friday, and I'll have the budget breakdown ready for our next meeting. Name, task, deadline, that's how action items work. And if you're ever in a meeting and no one is capturing action items, be the person who does it. It makes you look organized, proactive, and professional. People notice that. All right, we're not done yet. I've got 3 more phrases for you, and these ones are just as powerful. Ready? Let's keep going. Phrase number 8, touch base. Touch base comes from baseball. Actually, tagging a base as you run around the field. But in the office, it means something much simpler. To briefly connect with someone, just to check in or share a quick update. It's one of those phrases that's incredibly versatile. You can use it before a project starts, during it, or after. Anytime you want to have a short, informal conversation with a colleague or manager. Hey, I just wanted to touch base before the client call. Are we all set with the slides? Or if you're following up on something, let's touch base at the end of the week to see where we are on the proposal. It's casual, friendly, and non-demanding. You're not calling a full meeting. You just want a quick check-in. Easy, breezy, and very professional. Use it often. Phrase number 9. Let's put a pin in that. Okay, picture this. You're in the middle of a meeting, and someone raises a really interesting point, but it's not what the meeting is about. You don't want to dismiss the idea entirely, but you also can't go down that road right now. That's where let's put a pin in that comes in. It means let's pause this thought, save it for later, and come back to it at the right time. Like pinning a note to a board, it's not forgotten, it's just set aside temporarily. That's a really interesting idea. I don't want to lose it, so let's put a pin in that and make sure we revisit it in next week's strategy session. This phrase validates the person who spoke up. You're saying their idea matters, while also keeping the meeting on track. That's a skill, and now you have the words for it. And our final phrase? Phrase number 10, deliverables. This is one of those words that sounds more complicated than it is. A deliverable is simply a specific output, result, or piece of work that is expected to be completed and handed over, usually by a deadline. It's the what we're actually producing out of a project or a meeting. Before we close out this project, I want to make sure we're all clear on the deliverables. We owe the client a full report, a presentation deck, and a 1-page summary by the 30th. Or during project planning, what are the key deliverables for this campaign and who owns each one? Using this word immediately makes a conversation more structured and results-focused. You're not just talking about what you hope will happen. You're talking about what will be produced, by whom, and by when. That is exactly the energy that high-performing teams operate on. All right, let's do a quick recap before we go, because repetition is how we make things stick. Today we covered 10 corporate phrases. Let's take this offline. Save a detailed conversation for a smaller group. Later. Circle back. Return to a topic or follow up. Move the needle. Make a significant, meaningful impact. Low-hanging fruit. The easiest, quickest wins available. I don't have the bandwidth. I'm at capacity. I can't take on more right now. Let's align on this. Let's make sure we're all in agreement and moving the same direction. Action items. The specific tasks assigned at the end of a meeting. Touch base. A quick casual check-in with a colleague. Let's put a pin in that. Pause an idea now. Revisit it later. Deliverables. The specific, concrete outputs expected from a project. 10 phrases. Use even one of them in your next meeting and watch how people respond. Because language is power, and using the right words in the right context shows competence, confidence, and credibility. That's all for today's episode of English Frenzy. I hope you walked away with something useful, something you can actually use, not just study, because that's what we do here. Real English, real situations, real confidence. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or colleague who could use a little English boost. And if you have a topic you'd like me to cover, idioms, job interview language, small talk, email writing, drop it in the comments or send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep practicing, keep showing up, and remember, every expert was once a beginner. You've got this. I'm Pam, this is English Frenzy. See you next episode.